G'day everybody, how are you going today? It is so good to see you. Well, today we have a very, very special episode with a gentleman that I've known for a little while now. He reached out to me via the YouTube interwebs, and he is a sports photographer specialising in cricket and Aussie rules, and his name is Chris Thomas. How are you, Chris?
Good, Matt. It's good to see you again.
It's bloody good to see you. Now, how are you going today?
Today's a good day.
It is a good day. Well, yes, it's now. Chris is going through something pretty special at the moment. So when Chris says it's a good day, it's actually something that we should be listening to and is quite serious. Can you share with us all? Let's get this out on the table to begin with. What you're going through at the moment, because we're both exactly the same age.
Yes. Yeah.
Give or take like an hour.
It's when the government sends you that little envelope and says poo in a bag for us.
Yeah, right.
You kind of should do it.
Yes, you
and
should.
I should have done it.
Yes.
And then I had my bowel rupture on me just before lockdown 6 ended.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, wake up call.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I think what's amazing about you, the first time we physically met, you were on the field with your 400mm lens, with your D4? D5, and doing what you love, which is photographing sports.
Which I'm eternally grateful to the people at Cricket Vic, who I only got the contract late last season.
Yep.
And they were happy to renew me for this season. And then I phoned them up and gone, well, I'm going to be a bit on and off.
Yep.
And they went, don't worry about it.
Wow.
In fact, they've actually told me to take days off.
Wow.
At times when they've gone, no, it's going to be too hot. Don't go out. Don't you dare. We don't want you to get worse. So
that's amazing. Like in this profession, we don't hear those stories all the time. It can be quite a dog-eat-dog profession, to be honest.
And as a subcontractor, to get that kind of support, it's fantastic. So
they love you. You love it.
Yes.
Now, is there anything beyond the cricket and the Aussie rules, the football, that I've missed?
No, because that tends to take up all the time.
Yeah.
Realistically, the place that I subcontract through during footy season, I could have done a lot of work for them during cricket season, midweek, doing team photos, headshots, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
That I couldn't do this year.
Yep.
That's why I bought a ZFC.
Tell me why you bought a ZFC.
So I could slow down.
Okay. I like it. Yes.
And just
the slow down camera.
Make photography the hobby again.
Yep.
As opposed to it always being work and go.
Yep.
So yeah, and I've enjoyed it so far.
Now you have it here. Which colour did you get? Well, come on, show us. You got to show us. Oh.
There we go. Look at that beautiful.
Look at that.
And finally a spot to put my commemorative Nikon strap.
Now this is something I'm super excited about and haven't seen before. Hey Nikon, I need one of those. I didn't know they existed, and I really want 100.
Bad luck,
I'll pay for it. I promise.
The strangest thing about that is that it is almost identical in size to my original film camera that I got when I was 16.
Yeah, right.
And I thought it when I first picked one up in the store, and I went, this feels really natural in my hand.
Yep.
And when I finally got one, and I put it side by side with the old film camera, it's like, hang on, that is almost identical thickness, that you just realistically millimetres difference.
I love the fact that 50, 60, 70 years ago, they worked out, the optimal size of things. Obviously, humans don't change that much, and things just iterate so small amounts now from those original designs. You're currently working with your D5. Talk us through some of the lenses or what gear you use with your sports photography.
Yeah, the main driver lens is the 400-2.8, and
stunning.
My version of it is now 2 versions old. Still does the job, still beautiful and sharp, and colour rendition is gorgeous, and I don't care about vignetting or any of
looks good.
That sort of stuff.
So I had the pleasure to join Chris on the Oval with his 400 and with the new 400Z. We'll show you some footage here But we did some experiments with the two lenses, and I have to say that the 400, the older 400 2.8 on the Z9, what was your reaction?
I was like, this is focusing quicker than it does on the D5, and I think that just shows the strength of the building of the focus system. That it sealed the deal that I'm going to spend that $8,500 on the Z9 at some point in time.
Absolutely. I mean, so how many frames have you shot with the D5 and probably with that lens?
Probably close to 500,000.
So no one knows that lens more than someone like you, and you're saying that the Z9 is making it an even better lens, and that's crazy to me. I mean, it's awesome, but it's awesome crazy, or crazy awesome.
Crazy awesome, yeah. No, I mean, I think I said it at the time. It's like that just sealed the deal. Yeah. That yes, I'm definitely going to get a Z9.
Yeah. And 3, 2, 1, bang, straight in, straight in. You're still getting the eye detect. All right, we'll wait for someone to run, but that's working, man. You should be proud of that.
That is, that makes me so happy. That makes me so happy. That makes the decision easier to spend the money on the Z9. That
well, it's
knowing that
it's totally working.
Yeah.
Like that's find something. There we go. Boom. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Did you see
just
how quick that was? Snap. Here we go. I haven't pressed the button. 1, 2, 3. Press. Bang. Straight away. That's awesome.
It was a thought bubble.
Yeah. I mean, it was a bit of a wow moment for both of us because I also started using that lens, and I'd been using the Z1 for a while. And look, the new one's astonishing, but the gap between them was not as big as I thought it might be, and that lens just performed amazingly.
Not optically, I don't think necessarily,
Exactly.
but the weight difference.
Sure.
I mean, you pulled it out of the bag and handed it to me, and I said, "This thing's floating in my hand. What's going on here?"
You did. I mean, it's a whole kilo lighter, isn't it? I think it's something.
It's
even more.
Might be closer to 2 kilos.
Really? Okay.
Because I think there was a kilo difference between my version and the current, well, what was the current version, and then they've gotten even lighter again with the new one. I was thinking with the teleconverter thrown in it. I mean,
yeah, that's right. I mean, it is just
mind-blowing.
it's a lot of lens, but still because you got your lens second hand, it was an extraordinary price.
Yeah,
how much did you get it for again?
I paid 5.5 Australian by the time it got here from Adorama in the US.
So 5.5 Australian is probably 3.5.
Around somewhere between 3.5 that I got it for. I'm even more stoked to know that a Z9's going to work fantastically with it through the FTZ.
Yeah.
So
which you got today.
Yes, which I did. Yes, which I picked up.
Not the
today.
Z9, but you've got the adapter. But I think it's a really great point that you can get the Z9 and then you can still use all your F lenses, and there should be zero fear that they work worse. And my experience with all of my lenses, and I've got about 13, 14, 15, they all work better.
Well, and I mean, I was worried because it wasn't the most recent iteration of the F-mount version. Yeah. And I thought, is it going to work? Are they going to support back that far? I shouldn't have worried.
Well, it's not that. I mean, it's only 8 years or 6 years or whatever it is.
That feels like forever in tech world.
Sure.
6 months is forever in tech world these days. So
no, it's really impressive, and F-mount users with glass that's sort of roughly 20 years and younger, as long as it's the new electronic versions, not the screw-driven focus. We're loving it. We're loving the Z-line. We're loving what it does. Will you throw it on the ZFC?
I will. Now that I've got the FTZ adapter, I will throw it on just for fun to see what it can do.
Well, the ZFC is pretty fast.
I think it can do 10 frames, but it doesn't really have the buffer. And because it's running SD cards as opposed to XQD or CF Express in the D5, which just means I can fire off sequences of 100 frames without it skipping a beat.
I wonder if you threw it into JPEG and then just...
Oh, God.
And then see...
God forbid I shot in JPEG.
Yeah, no, I just thought out of interest to see how long it might shoot for. What was it on the Z9 with the high efficiency to like 1,600 frames odd?
Yeah, something ridiculous.
And it's like who even wants to go through... Because how many seconds is that? It's like 30, 15. It's only like 45 seconds worth of life.
It's more than I'd ever shoot. I mean, as a sports photographer, you use the burst mode. but you're literally seconds. That's it.
Yeah.
The biggest ones are post-wicket celebrations.
Yep.
Or end of match winning a grand final celebration.
Yeah.
But if you can get them, they're longer sequences. But
45 seconds.
no.
No.
I mean, I think the longest sequence I've shot was still only just over 100 frames.
Yeah.
And realistically, that's a couple of seconds.
And have you ever felt you wanted to go longer? Like, I wish.
Not really.
Because action is action, isn't it? It happens, it explodes, it stops.
Yeah. And there comes a point in time where you go, no, that's it. It's done. There's no point in holding the button down anymore. So,
I mean, cricket's a bit different to, say, football, where it can just sort of keep going. But even if they run down the field the whole way, it's unlikely you want to capture everything.
last year in the truncated footy season, I got a great sequence of a guy coming out of defence, and he's taken a couple of bounces, dodged a couple of people, moved up onto the wing. But even that was maybe a 2-second sequence.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it just happens so quick, and you don't realise, if you're watching on TV, you don't sometimes realise how quickly it actually happens.
Plus, if you take your finger off the button, even for half a second, it's all going to rebuffer again.
Yeah.
So, or unbuffer again. I mean, because how many, a cricket match will be like, how many hours of cricket, how many?
6 potentially.
And how many frames will you get from that?
A grand final, which is the game when I'm there for the whole game,
Yeah.
between 4,500 frames. Depends on how much time I spend chatting with people on the boundary.
All right. How naughty you
which
are.
I do. I do.
Yeah.
And because people hang over the fence and ask you about
Of course.
the photos and whatever, and you just end up chatting.
Now, here's an interesting one. How often do they ask about the photos, as in, where do I get little Jimmy's photo versus talking about the cameras?
The only comment I ever get about the camera is, gee, that's big.
Yeah.
And that's it.
No one says Canon,
says,
Sony, Nikon, Leica.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, it's super interesting, isn't it? Like, here we are in this YouTube space, and it's all about brand, and it's all about cameras, and yet professionals are almost never asked, what camera do you use?
No.
Like, when I sell this stuff here, it'd be lucky if it's 1 in 1,000 people, honestly.
It's only
if anyone ever.
It's only other camera people. So
Yes.
so there's one of the club presidents was chatting to me about gear specifically.
Yep.
But yeah, that's because he's a camera guy and does it as a hobby. Whereas just your general Joe Blow was like, wow, that's big. Where can I see the photos?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
They quickly move on to the more important issue.
their important issue is they want
capturing memories.
the photo of their son, daughter.
Yeah. So when did you start sports photography, just as something that was fun, or how did it start for you?
No, well, I actually started sports photography back in school.
Wow. Okay.
So a mate and I didn't really want to do school sports.
I like
And
it.
we both had cameras, and we went, we'll shoot that for the school magazine.
We'll
for the
capture
end
it.
of the year.
Yeah.
And the school went, okay.
How often do you try and go, I'm going to try and get a new angle, a different angle? I mean, that's kind of hard to do probably when you're shooting arenas, but...
Yeah, no, but you always look for something.
Yep.
You try and look for where there might be something that's in the background that can put the ground in place.
Yeah.
Not every cricket ground has beautiful old grandstands,
Yeah.
but some of them have little slithers of line to the city.
Yep.
And I mean, this year during a T20 game, managed to get at Harry Trott Oval a nice line through the trees with the action happening
Nice.
in front. And there's one of the St Kilda players is really happy because I've got a photo of him resting at the non-striker's end, resting on his bat. So it's him juxtaposed with his skyscraper through the trees. And he actually told me, he's really pleased with that one.
That's awesome. So you never stop hunting, you never stop looking?
No, because even if you've been to the ground umpteen times, there's always an angle or an idea to try in terms of not shooting through the 400 grabbing the 70 to 200 or grabbing the 24 to 70.
So you do change lenses. It's not just
Yeah,
it's not welded on the 400.
No,
almost.
No, well, it is almost welded onto the D5.
Yeah.
But I'll grab my old D750 sometimes with the alternate lenses.
Nice.
Because then sometimes it proved handy in last year's grand final that I happened to make sure that I had the 750 with me at the same time, and the match end happened, and I'm getting all the celebrations of the players in the middle, and the two coaches happened to walk past me, quickly grab the 750 with the 70 to 200 on it, and got a beautiful shot of the main coach and the assistant coach arm in arm, basically enjoying the moment quietly away from the letting the team celebrate.
So part of your brief is also you can capture any ambience, any moments around the field.
Yeah.
It's not just the sport.
No,
it's the community, it's the culture, it's everything.
Yeah. At the recent women's grand final, waiting for the players to take the field in the second innings, and the two Melbourne openers were standing there just chatting away, and I'm sort of waiting to do the traditional stepping over the rope onto the ground type photos.
Yeah, right.
And then the Melbourne Cricket Club flag behind them just happened to catch a breeze and stuck straight out. And it's like, bang, 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 that's it, done.
Right, we're shooting in DX with the TC on.
So now you're getting paid to do this. How does it feel? Has it changed the dynamic when it moves from? I don't know when that change occurred for you, but how do you feel about it now that it's a paid gig?
It does change the dynamic a little.
Yep.
The biggest change in dynamic for me was that doing it for free, I was just staying around the one club.
Yeah, right.
So I was hanging around Casey South Melbourne because that's local to me. And the biggest thing for me has been the disconnect from not being able to be around the club all the time to being around all the other clubs.
Yeah, right. So the
It's
community
been the biggest shock.
Yeah, okay.
To the system, and I think I transitioned relatively well from unpaid to paid because I'd been treating the unpaid as mentally, I'm doing this as professionally.
Yeah.
So I might not have been getting paid, but I was trying to act in a professional manner.
The standards were still there.
And get the images out quickly, or as quickly as I could. Yeah, I think the transition to paid was just like, yep, that's just justification that this is what I'm doing, and
acknowledgement.
Yes, I deserve to be paid for this.
Fantastic.
I mean, that was a relatively easy transition, I think, in the end, in that regard.
That's good.
But,
Are there other regards?
well, the other regard being the loss of connection of hanging around the one club.
But I presume you've made connections everywhere.
Yeah. I mean,
Because you're such a great bloke, it'd be easy.
I'd made some connections anyway with some of the other clubs anyway, because they'd see the photos from when they played Casey and they'd be, oh, can we get them? Can we use them? And I was like, sure, it's all about promoting the game.
Yep.
And I'm happy for you to use them.
Talk to me about the Z9 and how you feel it might change and improve your world.
Oh, well, just from the short time I spent with it, with you, just the fact that the focusing system works so amazingly. I know there are shots that I've tried to get that I think it might help me actually get them.
Yep.
Just the fact that I'm not setting a focus point and then trying to work and hope that the people get into the right position.
Yep.
Just the tracking on it was just so phenomenal that I know it's just going to make most of what I do a hell of a lot easier, in that I can, yes, I want it on that person, particularly a bowler running in. And my worst problem with bowlers running in is, of course, they're going past other fielders. It's not necessarily the other fielders, it's the umpire that always gets me, because the umpire is so static.
Yep.
And the D5 goes, oh, nice static.
Yeah.
I'll jump onto that.
That's easy.
And then, because you're shooting relatively shallow depth of field, just losing that little bit of focus, and suddenly the bowler who you want is not really
Yeah, they're a bit soft.
in focus.
Yeah.
And the umpire's dead sharp behind them, and it's like,
Yeah.
most people won't notice, but I do.
Yeah, you're unhappy. Well,
So that goes delete. That's not happening.
I mean, that's not your goal, and at the end of the day, we want to achieve what we've set out to achieve. You know.
Yeah.
So that's critical. And would there be, you know, once you get through the purchasing the Z9, would there be any other lenses that might be first, second on your list?
Oh, well, it's a toss-up because I'm tempted by the thought of just getting the. I know I'm going to get the 70 to 200, and I know I want the new 400.
On the roadmap, there's this little shadow of this little short 400. Now, my guess is it's a 400 PF. I wonder if that could suffice. Like I noticed when using the 300 f4, you still get short depth of field because it's such a long lens, even at f4. So at 400, it would be even more.
It's funny because yes, I probably could.
Yep.
Because I largely shoot at f4 anyway. Because
There you go.
if I stick because I've got the 1.4 or was it 1.7, the old teleconverter
Yep.
to stick on it, which I do use occasionally, and that automatically stops it down to f4. So
There you
I
go.
just largely shoot at f4 because at least then, if I stick the teleconverter on,
Yeah, everything's the same.
I'm not worried about changing aperture. But there have been a couple of times when early in the season, cricket season, and it's getting dark, and you've got to open up to 2.8 or you're pumping the ISO too far for my liking. And during footy season, it gets dark.
Definitely.
Particularly during the seniors game. So there's been a couple of times where I've had to, just because of the ambient conditions, open it right up, just to stop myself from going too ridiculously high on ISO.
It's quite a balancing act, isn't it? Because you can either get a bit more grain or, because f2.8 to 4 is this one stop. So you could go from 16 to 3200 or 3200 to 64 or, I don't know, what's the shutter speed that you're normally shooting at?
Well, it depends. I mean, it generally rolls somewhere between 1,000 to an 8,000.
So going to 1/500th is just, unbearable, or it's too dangerous. You just get too many misses.
I did used to like to shoot below 1,000 just to purposefully blur a ball or blur a little bit of motion. Now I tend to, if I'm going to be going blur, I'm going full blur.
Yep.
And generally with bowlers running in. I've got a few that I've been quite happy with that it might not be the bowler's face that's actually still in proper sharp focus, but the ball is. And so you've got the whole motion with them swinging past the umpire, so that's got those beautiful blur trails behind them and whatever. I tend to be a bit extremes. It's either it's got to be sharp and quick, or I'll go completely the other end and go, let's go all arty and blurry and see what we get.
See, this is what I love about photography is that often we are shooting on the absolute edges of the technology to get one result or the other. And a Z9 can do all these things, but it still can't stop 1/500th of a second being blurry if somebody's moving too fast. And then that comes down to the practitioner. So it's still you that makes that work, makes the choices. Am I going for the eyes, the foot, the hand? I mean, this is so interesting. I've never thought about the different ways you could photograph just a bowler, and get an artistic version or a non-artistic version.
It's like, I look at your work and go, damn, I wish I could see my city the way you see our city. I call it my city, it's our city.
It's your city, it's my city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for giving us the time. Chris is an awesome sports photographer. You've seen some of what we shot a couple of weeks ago down at, which oval was it?
We were at Toorak Park.
At Toorak Park. It was a great Sunday afternoon. It was quite hot, but I've never done that type of photography before, and it was awesome to see a master at work. So thank you, sir. All right, well, everybody, thank you for being here today. And let me know in the comments below, are you sports? Are you Z9? Are you 400mm? Are you any of those things? Would you get the 400mm PF? I don't even know if it's real, but it's certainly very short on the roadmap. So, I don't know. I think it could be. Couldn't it?
I think it could be. I think it could be real.
Let us know. Let us both know in the comments below if you think it's a 400 PF. So good to see you. If this is your first time here, I'd love to see you again. So please do subscribe. Please share. Jump on the website. Thanks, mate.
Thank you, Matt.
It's been amazing.
Pleasure.